Good morning, SMF Street Traders. We're doing a special preview once again. It was a week ago, last Saturday and Sunday, on our website there at stockmarketpunding.com that we talked about when Google would make a big move. And last weekend at this very time, we were talking about how Google was below that green line. That green line, so people understand, represents a 200-week moving average, which is very significant. And basically, Google in itself, in the SMF database qualifier, meaning trend qualifier, we have our own system. And this particular equity, Google, has remained for the year of 2010 in a severe went into a bear trend below the 200-week. The 200-week would, the 10-week up here, it started to decline. We were shorting up at the beginning of the year. The thing about it is, once that 200-week, it tried to find footing here. This is just a history of what's going on and what it means. That blue line, as soon as it started to go down, and the red line, the 20-week is the red line, the 10-week started to go down, and there went the prices with it. That's how it works. You had all kinds of crossover. Crossover 10-week, 20-week crossing over that pink line, the 50-week. Not only that, even for a short period of time, we undercut that blue line and even crossed over, and these are downward crossovers that are very, very bearish for trends. You can always buy and sell them intraday, don't get me wrong, because they're tradable on that intraday market maker level that we do. But for the bigger, some of the longer term trades, whether they're 60 days out, 90 days out, and things that we do with these kinds of trends, is that we have for the very first time in our qualifier, once again, we have the 10-week moving average going up. We've got finally, instead of the 10-week traveling below that red line, the 20-week, that's where the weakest part of the trend is, we have finally got back to a point where it stopped going down, the blue line. And we have finally got to a point where we're crossing back up where the right side of the market, the trend, the short covering, the buyers and sellers moved in anticipation of a turnaround story. But let us not forget, it was Eric Schmidt that came out and said that he sees foreseeable growth for the next few years at a slower rate. October happens to be a good time. October of 2008. We bought some up and out of the money calls that we keep talking about for volatility that cost us 15 cents. During that time, Google comes out, reports and earnings. We're in the worst financial crisis at the time in 2008. And they come out and they got a $90 gap that morning, the next morning when they reported. Those 15-cent calls went to $14.50. What I really want to focus on is the 10-week moving average. I want to focus on the 10-week moving average. I want to focus on the fact that the red line, the 20-week, is going to flatten, and that the momentum carries, and that we are going to buy the dip. Another thing that new people don't understand, this primary focus is that SMF has a trend qualifier, weekly trend qualifier. One of them is that I have to close 4 weeks above the blue line. Well, guess what? We have 2 weeks. And basically, going from a bear trend, transforming into a bull trend, is most people never really understand how that's done because they don't have a system. All they have is what I'm showing you here on a standard chart. It's a charting application. Anybody could look at it, but how are you going to make sense of it? Well, we know how to make sense of it because we have a mathematical system that adjusts the trend ratios. There are bear qualifiers, there are bull qualifiers, and resistance qualifiers, price action qualifiers that we do here. Let it be known. So I'm going to draw a trend line right through here. That's half of that bar. And that's $507 of that last weekly breakout bar. We had one big week of price action. Now, $13.81. We've gone straight up in 1 week. Yes, we can resume. So once again, I do feel sorry I had my mic on mute as far as the MMTs here. I will recap. MMTs, the 10-week moving average has been declining. We went into a bear trend 4 weeks below it. All weekly moving averages were descending in value, which made Google a bear market trend, or a bear market stock, bottom line. The other line is that every time in the past when we hit these bottoms, we rallied up like here. We rallied up to these tops, and we got above that green line before. That's that 200 week, but immediately it gapped below it, and we, shorted some moves. This is the August move, but we came down, and at that 100 week moving average, which is slightly going upward, and this MACD for the new MMTs is that Google has been in a sell signal for a lot of the year, and basically this is a weekly sell signal. We are headed back toward a buy signal. The unfortunate thing about knowing when to buy and hold is that when we were buying and holding it over here at these bottoms, the percent DS was at 13.58, or referred to as percent K, and it was extremely oversold in the cycle here. Well, I'm sorry, the thing now, that's when you want to be the big buyer, and that's when we were buying and selling all the way up to these tops. Now, just like you gap below the green line, a 200 week, well, they gap that thing above it. That's that counter trend, MMTs. That 50 week moving average is the top end resistance. But let me tell you something. We have officially gapped that above the 10 week. That 10 week is ascending in value, which gives trend momentum power because they're going in the right direction. We have finally stopped declining in the red line. That's the 20 week. That particular green line is your 100 or 200 week moving average. Very powerful, very powerful. We look to buy any dip, because if I'm going to, the bull qualifier is that the blue line goes up in value. That's the 10 week. That's number one. Number two, you have to close above that blue line, and it has to keep ascending. You have to close 4 weeks above that 10-week moving average to go from bear to bull, and we are now going to go in week 3 starting tomorrow morning. Granted that Google, that we have traded it, we've always bought it, and we've always sold into the earnings. October of 2008, they gapped at $90. This bull trend is going to even gain more momentum. And what do I mean by that? Any drop down intraday is a buy. Because as strong as this weekly chart is setting up, and remember, moving averages do like to get tested. If there's any volatility or any selling in the market and there's any retest of these moving averages, we will be loading the boat. Meaning that we're going to deal with a half bar pullback. We're going to deal with this 50-week moving average right here, which is starting to flatten out. So what I'm really going to get down to it is a weekly buy signal. My problem that I'm having, and Google, I'm going to show you right here, we're at 71%. We're not buying this thing when it was like at 13.58. That's when you want to buy the farm. When we were buying CME, I'd never seen it on a weekly chart at 7% DS. You want to buy the farm. I'm sorry. That's how trends work. Momentum. We have mathematical momentum in this trend. Any pullback, this is the time that we're getting net long. Any pullback intraday trading for the MMTs, you have buying power because we furnish you capital so that you do have enough money to trade these for the people that are qualified. And the thing about it is, here's about half of that line. And basically, this is where any drop down, if they take it above the 50-week moving average, then we'll have to move in and buy. I will show on the tape for the new MMTs that were not here. When we got right over here at 96.67%, 96%, we were so overbought from the 2009 move when we bought it. Boy, did we make a lot of money on Google. Of course, we always have. It's the best trader out here. The thing about it is, when we were at 96%, we went straight down. That's going to happen on all of them. None of them will ever maintain this level. And I will bet any one amount of money. Go find me one. I wouldn't care what stock on a weekly chart. MMTs. And now There's room to run. You can see here how overbought in its trend it can get, but then let's not forget that on that same indicator on this weekly chart, it's at 71.19%. Yes, you break through here. Yes, we're going to have some major resistance up here. Let's put some weekly trend lines. And I'm doing this in the standard application. I'm not doing it in your SMF trading platform. Your platform on the weekly charts will do that. But here's the neckline of where that short up here, and we were shorting it down. Because when the 10-week went down and you closed 4 weeks, that's when Google went into a bear trend. Just like we have on so many videos about bear and bull trends and momentum. That is the master of trends, is that mathematical power in the trend that SMF has a pull up. The stronger that the trend, the bigger the breakout will come, the bigger that momentum will be, called price action momentum.